Hey, what's happening, all you ponies out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode review. This time it's season nine's episode 15, titled 246 Great. And a very inspirational title, I guess you could say, as we actually have Twilight creating a buckball field at the School of Magic, and there will be a competition coming up between Twilight School of Friendship and Celestia's School of Magic. You know, a nice friendly game that'll take place in 2 weeks. They chose some of their best players, and Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Snails will be, in charge of it. Naturally, Fluttershy's a bit uh, not sure about how well they'll be able to do it within that amount of time, but Twilight has the utmost confidence in them because they're the best buckball team in all of Equestria, so they'll naturally dominate. Well, at least manage to teach everyone to the fullest amount of their ability. Rainbow Dash is also on board for actually coming in and helping to coach these new recruits and the newest generation of Buckball, only for her to find out she's in charge of the cheer squad. She's in charge of coaching them and getting them all set up for this whole situation. Naturally, Rainbow Dash is a bit apprehensive to this, as cheerleading. She doesn't see the purpose of cheerleading. She doesn't understand, or even acknowledge them for the most part, because she's always on the main field. In both versions, this and Equestria Girl, she's the headliner, captain of all the sports team. She's always completely on top of the winning side. She's the main event. Cheering for somebody else to win just isn't really her thing. That's why it was so hard for her when it came to coaching at first. But, she ends up being convinced, at least for the most part, by Twilight. We find that her assistant coach for this is Snips, who, after his whole situation at the Buckball Hall of Fame, where he ended up making bank on that whole situation. He's all for Buckball at this point, just so he can, gain them bits. And I actually kind of appreciate this direction that they took with Snips, because just like it was always Snips and Snails, just always paired up, always the two idiots and all that good stuff. But now with Snips and Snails having their own separate things going on, you can actually develop their characters. So we're introduced to the cheer squad and all that. We're introduced to two new ponies who are, students at the friendship school, Light Hoof and Shimmy Shake, who are dancing ponies. They're, very adept at dancing and all that good stuff. We also see that Ocelus, Yona, and Smolder are all involved as well, with Yona being all about the dancing, Ocelus wanting to be able to cheer and, learn to project her voice a bit more. And Smolder's just there because, for the hell of it. Although now that she sees that, Rainbow Dash is there, she thinks that it'll be a little bit more fun than she considered. But Rainbow Dash kind of starts brushing them off for the most part. And she does not hide her disdain for being involved with the cheer squad. And she actively does everything in their power to just ignore them for the most part. And so, Snipses ends up being put in charge of just being like, well, hey, just show her what you've got so we can see where we need to be later down the line. Unfortunately, Yona's, cheerful stomping ends up throwing off the dance ponies, and nothing really comes from that. And when it comes to Ocelus, she's not able to. She tries to go through the performances and think that'll help, but Smolder's like, well, if unless we actually learn anything, we won't be able to actually move forward, and we could use the help of our coach. But Rainbow Dash kind of brushes it off, saying, oh, no, that was perfect and all that. And she ends up going racing off, just leaving everyone in the dust. Snips catches up with her and it's just like, no, you're supposed to be training us. You're supposed to be training up this team, getting it going, getting it into shape. But, Rainbow Dash brushes it off to Snips. Since he's so invested in it, he can be the one to get them into, cheering shape. So she, brushes them off to watch the weird training going on, especially in terms of whatever Snails has going on. But Smolder confronts her like, hey, you were supposed to be training us, not watching Snips' weird performances. Smolder is the one who really gets fed up with Rainbow Dash's bull. Because it's just like, no, you have a responsibility to us. You're supposed to be our teacher and our coach. But, when they all come out after she explains, oh, I passed you off to Snails. Snips, he should have had something. He just decked them out with all of his merchandise and stuff. So no real actual trading. And Smolder's just like, look, it's okay if you don't want to put effort into this, but maybe you should actually start trying. So she tries to, get Snails in to actually show them what they need to do, but it doesn't work out that much. And, Rainbow Dash is just like, oh, well, I tried, and tries to leave and say, oh, well, there's nothing more I can do. But Snails is just like, well, this is the school of friendship. Why don't you ask your friends to help you out? When Snails makes sense, things are a little bit off. So she goes to Pinkie Pie and gets her party cannon, goes to Rarity and gets some outfits. Applejack gives her some bales of hay, and she goes to Zecora, but we find out that didn't work out too well. So she's just like, okay, here's all the supplies, do what you need to do. Not really giving them any direction or instruction. But she hands off a rhyming book for them to, create some cheers and rhymes and all that good stuff. But, once again, she just tries to dip out on them, saying, well, I got you all this stuff. Isn't that enough? And she's just like, you should figure it out for yourself. But, everyone's like, well, but no, we won't know what to do with this. You're supposed to lead us in what we should be doing. But she still pieces out nonetheless. And, she's just like, well, she goes to Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie about their training, and they feel confident about where the Buckball team is. But when they express that they're excited to see the cheer performance, Rainbow Dash doesn't take it seriously. She's just like, man, why would you be interested in seeing that stupid stuff? And when the actual cheer squad comes in and tries to show what they've got, it's a very embarrassing disaster. It is actually terrible. It's just uncoordinated as all get out. But, Rainbow Dash wasn't even watching, just training it up with the, the School of Friendship Buckball team. And, everyone's just feeling down and just out. And Rainbow Dash isn't even taking their feelings into account for all of this. And when she talks things over, we're like, well, well, I gave you all this equipment. How come you weren't able to figure it out? And, at this point, I was just really getting exasperated with Rainbow Dash, because I'm just like, really? Really? That's just rude. That's just mean. And honestly, everyone takes, the situation to heart for the most part, because it's just like Rainbow Dash isn't helping them, and they just embarrass themselves in front of people. So Yona runs out crying, and Rainbow Dash is just like, well, why are you guys taking this so seriously? I'm just like, really? We're going in this really terrible direction with Rainbow Dash's personality. And it's obvious how this all ends, but man, they made Rainbow Dash an out-and-out jerk in this episode. As the Dance Punnies, Lighthoof, and Shimmy Shaker just like, well, it might not have been important to you, but it was important to us. And even Smolder, starts to just kind of be like, well, why would you just dump this on us and leave? You're supposed to be teaching us. You're supposed to be showing us. And even Ocelus, yells when that's not Ocelus's personality, but she yells. It's just like, you should have shown us how to use this equipment. We don't know anything about this. We don't know anything about what we should be doing. And she storms off as well. And Smolder is just very disappointed in Rainbow Dash because she's just like, look, even I wasn't quite down with this whole cheer thing, but I thought that once I saw you involved, maybe that might end up being better. You might not care about this, but the others do. And isn't caring about what your friends care about what friendship is all about? And if anyone could have made this whole cheer situation better, it would be you, who's always enthusiastic about what she wants. But I guess now we see that when it's not something you care about, you just don't give a damn. And it's a really, like, I half expected Smolder to slap her too, because it's just like, no, get your head out of your ass, Rainbow Dash. Not cool. Not cool. So, Rainbow Dash finally getting her, again, head out of her ass. I really took offense to this episode. I'm sorry, I took offense to this. I'm just like, Rainbow Dash, you're like my favorite pony. The one bit of pony memorabilia I have is a small Rainbow Dash figure. That's how much I love her. Her and Pinkie Pie. But, I was like, okay, Rainbow Dash, I am so over you right now. I am so over you. And had this gone on any longer, I would have literally just been done with the episode. But Rainbow Dash finally, figures out what she needs to do. Snips call everyone up early in the morning, gives this heartfelt explanation like, look, I'm sorry, I did you wrong. I don't understand how important this whole cheer thing can be to you guys. But I care about you, and, a wise dragon told me that, I should be able to care about the things that my friends care about. So I'm going to give you 120% of my attention. And, we're going to do this. We're going to show what we've got. So they start actually practicing their cheers, timing everything with Yona's stomps and steps and stuff like that to get the dancing down, getting Ocelus to project her voice a little bit more, figuring out how to apply Smolder's, smoke breath and all that in their, routine and ways to not kind of interfere with the cheering and all that good stuff, and even learning to figure out how the party cannon should work out. And even, Snips actually starts to kind of get in on the whole performance, taking him away from his wanting to sell stuff and actually just enjoying having good time with everyone and, being a part of the cheer squad. So the J of the buckball competition goes into play. Celestia is all hyped. It's just like, yeah, go Team of Magic. Oh, hey, Starlight, I didn't see you there. But, all of them are worried, especially Rainbow Dash, as the actual halftime performance gets underway. And, it's a cracking success. Light Hoof and Shimmy Shake are able to, keep in step with Yona's stomps, and Yona's stomps actually creates this rhythm for the audience to, stomp their hoofs along to. And everyone actually really starts to get into Yona's, stomps. It really pumps them up. And Smolder with her confetti and her smoke. It's a nice little aerial display. Ocelot uses this megaphone to project her voice a little bit more and really get everyone hyped up. They get this nice little moment with the party cannon going, and Smolder sends out this flame breath. It's a very nice halftime show. It's not the most dazzling display I've ever seen, but in the context of the actual episode, it's just like, it's the first time any of the ponies have seen it. It looks pretty fun, and everyone enjoys it for the most part. And even Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy are really shocked by how well that halftime show was, because with what they ended up seeing, it was just like, ugh, this needs a little bit work. But Rainbow Dash was able to pull it out in the end. Unfortunately, the School of Friendship wasn't able to dominate over the School of Magic, but, you know, Fluttershy tries to cheer up her team. It's just like you guys came a long way in terms of just how little bit of time you had. So you did pretty well. But Rainbow Dash is just all into her team. She's just like, you guys did it. You guys were amazing. You know, the real game was just the sideshow. We were the main event. Way to go. And even, you know, Celestia's impressed by just how well they did and the great sportsmanship they showed and just how much Rainbow Dash seems to care for her group, for the cheering squad. And Twilight has this smug little moment where she's just like, well, Rainbow Dash, is almost like I was able to get you to put your, you know, great enthusiasm into the cheer squad, and I was also able to teach you a lesson about, you know, being into the things that your friends are into, even though it might not be your cup of tea, you know, showing that just because you're not into something, you can be into it because your friends are into it. Showing a little bit of craftiness on Twilight's side that we don't get to see enough. And I'm really kind of glad we got to see, because we need more moments of this. And if Twilight's going to take over all of Equestria, why not actually have Twilight be this crafty, you know, lesson giving character? And honestly, I love it. I love seeing this side of Twilight. And we get this nice little moment where everyone just laughs at the fact that Rainbow Dash was forced to learn a lesson. And honestly, it was a lesson that Rainbow Dash really needed. You know, Rainbow Dash, you really, really, really needed this lesson, because man, I was ready to just lose it on Rainbow Dash because of this situation. Not cool. Not cool, but I'm glad all's well that ends well. No question that it would be all's well that ends well, but just was getting a little too frustrated over this. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Were you getting as frustrated with Rainbow Dash as I was, or were you just going through the motions with this episode? Or would you have preferred it actually been about the Buckball team? You know, tell me everything that you think in the comment section below. Subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to see more My Little Pony Friendship is Magic video reviews. Like or dislike this video depending on how you felt about this review. And if you want to find me on social media, just Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I am everywhere, for better or for worse. Shield your children's eyes. And until the next video, just remember, you can honestly get hype about anything if you just put forth the effort. And if you don't, hey, at least you gave it your best shot. And that's what it's all about. And until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I think it's time for bed. Bye-bye.